Operation Fortune Ruse De Guerre is now available to rent on VOD and is also available to check out in theaters. Jason Statham in another action film. He plays the same character in every film. Does he play the same character in this film? The answer is yes. What do I think about this film? Well, let's talk about it. Special Agent Orson Fortune and his team of operatives recruit one of Hollywood's biggest movie stars to help them on an undercover mission when the sale of a deadly new weapon technology threatens to disrupt the world order. The film stars Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, Cary Elwes, Hugh Grant, Josh Hartnett, Bugzy Malone, Eddie Marsan, and many others, and was directed by Guy Ritchie, who has done films like the Sherlock Holmes films, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., King Arthur Legend of the Sword, the Aladdin remake, The Gentleman, and Wrath of Man. Operation Fortune, I saw the trailer for this film literally about a week before the film actually released, and I took one look at it and I said, Jason Statham, yeah, I'm not rushing to watch this film. I know it's going to be the same film that he's done 1,000 times. I've only liked him probably in maybe a couple of films at max. He always plays the same character. You know what you're getting out of him, so I didn't really have high hopes for this film. I knew that Aubrey Plaza was in it, which I have been watching some of her films lately, and I like that she has a little bit of variety of work, so I at least wanted to give it a chance because she was actually in the film. Basically, you have a bunch of Ukrainian mobsters that have this device called the Handle, and basically a government hires Jason Statham's character to go after this handle before Hugh Grant's character sells this handle off to the highest bidder, and they basically want to destroy the world, and it's an AI system that basically can destroy financial systems and other things involving really important things in the world. Positives that I can say for this film is it does have a few thrills and a little bit of action throughout the film, but I wouldn't say it's a non-stop action film. It's a very talky kind of film. It's very dialogue driven, but it doesn't have a lot of explosions or really cool car chases or a lot of shootouts. You're not getting that with this film. It's very grounded in that aspect. And I think really Aubrey Plaza is probably one of the better characters here. I think in the beginning of the film, she isn't really being utilized throughout this film as much as she should, but as the film picked up, she added some humor. She had a lot of changing of different dresses, and I thought that her character actually came through as this smart, techie, savvy kind of girl. Jason Statham, he plays the same part that he always plays. He has a few fight scenes in here, but I will say that the editing in this film is not very good. There are a lot of parts where he'll be doing his little hand in combat and kicks and such, and they're very short-lived action scenes, and then Guy Ritchie will have the film actually cut. And it's really disappointing because I think Jason Statham, even though he kind of does the same kind of moves and the same kind of things that you've seen in action films, at least you could actually have him shine and at least, elevate the movie a little bit. But I felt like they didn't really utilize him as much as they could. And I felt like he really didn't have a lot to do in certain portions of this film. I felt like there wasn't enough action in this film to really elevate his character a little bit or really make him really shine in his action scenes that he had. Most of the action, I would say, happens probably the last 30 minutes of the film. And there's a little bit of sprinkled little thrills here and there, some humor that has some chuckles out of me. Hugh Grant, he plays a generic kind of villain, something that you've seen before. I think his accent is very spot on here, and at times it can feel like he could be a little bit over the top at times, but I think for the most part his character is pretty good for the most part. But I think overall with the story of this whole movie, I just don't think that it really comes together. It doesn't seem very convincing. I felt like the whole portion of this whole handle that they were going after, it was rushed into the plot very quickly. It's an hour and 50 minutes, and I think that they could have actually built the story a little bit of this actual handle that was stolen. It's very quick to get into Jason Statham being hired by the government to go after this device. And I felt like they just didn't really develop any characters right away. We're already getting that in the film. And overall, I felt like as the movie kind of went on, it just felt like a movie that just didn't have a lot of action to really getting this device. And it didn't really make me, as the audience, really care about this device, as we didn't really know too much about it. And even after watching this film and kind of reading the plot synopsis and reading a little bit of things that happened, because I did miss a few little things here and there, it's very interesting to me that this film, it just didn't really do a good job really having a very interesting premise. And I think that if people don't really like a very generic action film like this, and even though it's not really, I would say, a big action film, I think majority of audiences are going to have a hard time watching this film. And again, I don't think this is a film that need to be released in theaters. It isn't a film that I would say that you need to see on a big screen. It felt very much like a streaming film, and I just felt like after watching this film that I have no desire to actually revisit this film again. And that has nothing to do with Jason Statham's character, even though I said in the beginning of this review that I feel like he plays the same character all the time. I just felt overall the writing and the story of this film, it just felt very disposable, and I feel like this is a film that just really can't keep up with action films of today. It isn't something that I would ever really revisit, and I really can't say that it's a film that I really will even remember probably by the end of this year. Overall, for me, I would give it a score of a 2 out of 5. If you have seen this film, let me know down in the comments what you thought about it. If you have not seen this film, is it a film that you're going to check out? As I would say, I definitely recommend checking this out on VOD rather than checking it out in a theater. Thank you guys for watching this review, and I will see you guys on my next review.